Hi and welcome to Brainstorm, Saskatchewan's only skeptical podcast where we talk about news, politics, religion, and science in a somewhat intelligent manner. This is part 3 of episode 4, finally. Sorry it took so long to get this one out. I seem to have too many projects on the go. In this episode we talk about vitamins, climate change and the Conservative government, as well as the documentary ChristCore.
The vitamin
To
debate?
vitamin or not to vitamin?
The vitamin debate.
I don't know. I wrote my own little notes. I said, vitamins? Yeah, I don't know shit. Too much info, too much contradictory info.
There really is a lot of contradictory info. But some of it is science-based and some of it is opinion-based. And it seems like a lot of the health side is opinion-based. Like or anecdote.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Vitamins helped me do this. Or
Yeah.
I think vitamins do this. There's no real data. The science-based community seems to have studied vitamins and found that vitamins don't necessarily, like extra vitamins beyond your diet, don't necessarily help you and can in fact hurt you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I don't know a whole lot about vitamins, but I know about crops. And basically, this is vitamins. This is like fertilizer for people. And if you don't need it and you get it, yeah, it's the same thing as with what I do with crops. If you give a crop something more than what it needs, it's a waste of money and it may actually cause harm. So you wait until you are actually deficient in something before you decide to meet the need of filling that. Now, you know, if you realize that, okay, I'm probably vitamin deficient in vitamin D through the winter because I don't get enough sunshine, and there's a fish oil or something reasonable that you can take that also has some added benefits like omega something or others. Well, you know, to me that makes a lot of sense. But to just decide I'm going to take enormous quantities of vitamin C because I heard it might help with something, well, do it before, you know, it's probably a waste of money. There are certain vitamins, I think it's vitamin A, where it's any of the vitamins that store up in your fat can build up to toxic levels. Whereas things like vitamin C are water soluble and will not hang around in your body.
Generally.
I'm not so sure.
The massive quantities that people tend to take them in, vitamin C actually, if you overload your system, can or has been linked to increased cancer risk.
Ooh.
I think that the stuff like that actually is supposed to pass through your system can do things. They can still cause like kidney stones, for
Vitamin
example.
D.
It does have to pass through that system. So it's not saying when it passes through it isn't causing problems.
Vitamin K has been known to cause birth defects in women who overload their system with vitamin K.
Yeah.
There's a number of side effects of taking too many vitamins.
Vitamin K is pretty heinous.
Vitamin K is pretty heinous.
I was supposed to take prenatal vitamins both times when I was pregnant, and I would take them, and about 5 minutes later I would puke, and finally, and I would feel awful all day. And if I didn't take them, I felt fine, and I think it was the iron in them that I wasn't tolerating well, or something possibly. But I finally just said, "Screw it! I'm not taking these anymore," and I just ate well, and it was fine. So yes, you take a chance maybe that you're not getting enough folate, and I think I had ended up maybe just supplementing folate because it can be a big deal. But generally women are told to take prenatal vitamins.
Absolutely, every time that my ex was pregnant, she was told to take prenatal vitamins. She never did because of various issues.
That's why your kids are mutants.
Yeah, super intelligent, amazingly good-looking mutants.
Yeah. Too bad she didn't take her
Too
vitamins.
bad she didn't take those vitamins.
Sorry, the plural of anecdote isn't data.
Isn't data. That's right. Yeah, that's right.
My bad.
No, you're right. Yet we still all tend to use testimony and trust testimony more.
Yeah.
I just read something about that, about how testimony increases our confidence in a conclusion, even though it's not necessarily warranted.
Well, I think a lot of people are probably taking it, and I suspect this is more true in sort of the bodybuilding bunch than in some other places, where they're taking vitamins to make up for the fact that they're really not eating nearly enough fruit and vegetables and nutrient-rich foods. They're eating a whole lot of protein supplements, and then trying to make up for their rather poor diet that way by taking vitamins. And I would really rather.
I could agree with that. I think that's a throwback to old bodybuilding culture. Modern bodybuilding culture really focuses on vitamins, nutrients, fruits, vegetables.
Yeah.
And like slow burning carbs. Mm-hmm. Where old bodybuilding culture was all about protein. It was meat, mm-hmm. raw eggs,
whey protein.
Yeah. It's not quite the same anymore.
I think there's probably a few different schools of thought.
But the carryover was the vitamin. Like,
Yeah.
the vitamins are still considered in the bodybuilding health community like something that we really need, even though we probably
Well, who's
take in enough.
putting the advertisements in the nice bodybuilding magazines? The vitamin people.
Yep. Supplement companies.
The supplement
that's right.
companies are paying for the bodybuilding magazines.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I shared a particular article here by Jim Stepani. He's a really amazing bodybuilder who also happens to advocate for vitamins. But I think he's biased in his article. Like, he doesn't share data. He just criticizes the data that the other studies have shown. And when somebody does that, I tend to think of them as biased. Like, you're not necessarily presenting your own data. You're just saying this is what's wrong.
You're critiquing everyone else's, but then you have to critique their critique. You have to
That's
say,
right.
Is this a legitimate complaint, or is this nitpicking and
The problem with his
confusing
is
people?
that at the end of it, he comes down to, he says, I have to question the doctor who doesn't, yeah, Mike's smiling because he knows that this one gets me. He has to question
Never
the
question
doctor.
the doctor.
Well,
Sorry, continue. Start over.
he has to question the doctor who promotes medicine, like prescription medicine, over taking vitamins. And I see a disconnect there. Like, it's a conclusion without a reasonable basis.
Mm-hmm. There's no terrifically good proof that taking large quantities of vitamins will keep you from getting all of these diseases. But there's a lot of people that have got that stuck in their heads that instead of buying health insurance down in the States, they'll just buy vitamins.
And there's actually plenty of proof. Like, it's been falsified. Like, vitamin C doesn't help you stop colds. It's been falsified. It's been proven that it does not work. And that's the thing that people just straight up deny. They won't accept it. And I don't know. On this, like, it always sounds like I'm coming down on the side of, like, prescription meds and big pharma, but really I try to come down on the side of where the evidence lies in this kind of thing. And one side has studies you can read, and the other side has conjecture.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Naturally, this is a subject that I'm interested in.
Well, and generally, to me, I would rather see people putting more effort into choosing what types of foods that they eat. And there's so
Absolutely.
many different kinds of functional foods that you eat them and they do really good things for you, but they don't necessarily hang out in a convenience store. So
I don't know. The problem with that is, especially working in kitchens and restaurants, is the problem is everyone seems to be looking for that simple, quick fix.
That's it.
You know, like, are multivitamins good or bad for you? I have no idea. I haven't read the studies or whatever. But people go, oh, no, look at me, I'm being healthy, pop, 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 pop. But yeah, that's all they're doing. or they go on the newest fad diet. You know,
They're drinking some strange kind of juice.
Yeah.
And they think that's going to be great for them, which it probably is. But if you're eating crap the rest of the time, it's not going to do you probably a whole lot of good.
Yeah.
The best thing you can do is variety. Eat a variety of things, a wide variety of things.
Everything in
don't
moderation.
Take
Yeah.
multivitamins.
Well, yeah, exactly. In moderation.
Eat everything in moderation.
I mean, just like if was it like 10 years ago, the Atkins craze.
Yeah.
The
Eat only one thing.
well, yeah,
Only bacon.
yeah. But it got to the
good.
point where all of a sudden we had Atkins approved cookies and Atkins approved cake and Atkins approved this. So you have all these people eating stuff themselves with this stuff, sitting on the couch, and I don't get it. I'm not losing any weight.
Oh,
I'm
no,
eating
they
this.
still lose weight.
They'll lose weight, but it's very hard on their bodies.
Yeah, like it's just, you know.
Yep.
Or the current craze, gluten-free.
Which I'm not. I'm waiting for the.
I want to
jury to
see
come in
more.
on that
I
one.
need to see something with it because, like, yeah, there are people that truly can't digest gluten.
Absolutely.
I understand that,
Yeah.
but all of a sudden, it's just out of nowhere. We're all of a sudden eat gluten free, and you'll
Yeah.
lose
There's
this.
there's a
and
lot
all of a sudden,
of just
everyone's
random
going
fad.
gluten free, and it's like
But you know what?
bread is.
It might not be. It might not be the gluten in the bread that's causing you the problem. It might be the quantity of simple starch that you're eating.
That you
Yeah,
know, and I would
absolutely.
buy that argument.
And
Yep.
and even just taking out that extra simple starch that you're having and replacing with something else might help.
Yep.
I'm sort of jury is out kind of position on this gluten thing because it might be that some people have a fairly low level tolerance to it, like with lactose. Some people cannot handle it at all. Some people, I can have some dairy, but then after a while, if I have too much, I'm messed up. And there's so much gluten extracted from the crops that we have now and used in processed food. So that even if you're not eating actual bread, you may be consuming rather a lot of gluten throughout your
Well,
day.
yeah, because it's used as a thickening agent
Yes,
and whatnot.
it's used in a lot of processed products. So it might be that you can tolerate a small amount just fine, but the total amount that you're taking in is maybe messing up your system somewhat. So it might be something to just keep in mind. And when people get on diets where they're trying to eat all low fat and whatever, well, a lot of the time they're eating a lot of wheat products and maybe that's not the best thing for them. So I don't know.
Bread is fairly recent in our history.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're
And
going
gluten,
to take a look,
the development of gluten is actually fairly recent. Like when the breads got together and crossed and all of a sudden gluten was there. That the white fluffy bread is a pretty new addition to the food diet.
it is. I mean, if you're going to look at things in an evolutionary perspective, bread is going to be bad for us. I mean, it's a new invention.
It
Just like
might not be
eating
fit
too many
us that
potatoes is probably not good. Same sort of thing, very starchy.
well. Maybe.
Well, maybe not if you're Irish. If you're
Well,
Irish, maybe it's
would
better.
No,
Then again-
it didn't originate in Ireland. It originated in Central America. So it would be
Wherever it
Central
originated,
Americans.
the Irish made a religion out of it.
Yes.
Well, it was because it was brought in as a cheap subsistence crop
Yeah.
for the Irish.
Yeah.
But between gluten and dairy, actually, our guts may not be that terrifically well adapted to them. Mm-hmm. So maybe a lot of people can handle them in small amounts, but some people cannot handle it at all. And so people have to kind of tailor their diets, try new things, and see, do you feel better taking this particular component out of your diet? Because basically that's, I was eating dairy for decades, and then all of a sudden I just decided, well, maybe I need to cut some of this out, and I feel quite a bit better having got rid of a portion of it. So
I think that's the future of all of this, is making it individual.
Yeah.
Because really it comes down to, in part it comes down to our ancestry.
Mm-hmm.
It comes down to where we're from. And some people are better adapted to some foods than others.
Mm-hmm.
So it's this whole generalization thing. we suggest everyone stop eating this. Yeah. Well, no, there's no one thing that's going to work for everyone.
That's what bugs me about it, is that all of a sudden, I mean, like I said, gluten, this is the newest thing.
Yeah.
Where all of a sudden you can't have gluten. And like I said, there's probably a portion that can't eat it at all. Some other ones, a little intolerant. And then all of a sudden there's this huge swath of people. Well, I read it in Red Book. I can lose 10 pounds in a week if I don't eat gluten or whatever. Yeah. You know, whatever the...
But it's taking away all their snack foods. It's taking away, you know, all the stuff that they sit there and munch on most of the time. So, yeah, you probably will lose weight on it.
But it's coincidental in a sense.
It may be. It's a little bit hard to say, you know, that, you know, there's the effect on your blood sugar, right? And your insulins and all of that there's things going on there. There's effect on gut health. So
your insulin response for storage and fat.
Yeah. I was just reading something today and yesterday about like incomplete proteins, which most of the vegetable-based proteins are considered incomplete proteins because they don't have all the amino acids versus animal proteins, which are considered complete proteins because they have all the amino acids. So it's just a matter of those vegetable proteins, you need to pair them together in order to get a reasonable diet.
Variety. Yeah.
You need more variety. You need to, you can't just eat one thing and call it good.
Just a quick interruption to remind everyone to follow us on Twitter at BrainstormPod, like us on Facebook at facebook.com/brainstormpodcast, and subscribe on Stitcher or iTunes. Write a review and give us a rating, preferably a good one.
The Burn the Books
Yeah,
Harper
the Burn in the
episode.
Books.
I read about that. I'm not impressed.
Doesn't matter. We can do whatever
I'm not
we
at all
want.
impressed that he's getting rid of all those records just because they couldn't get their button gear and digitize them in time.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like they were losing a whole lot of weather station data.
Is that what it was all about?
There's the article I read said that there was historical meteorological data that was supposed to have been digitized, that they just didn't get around to doing it, so they decided to burn it.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, because who cares about climate science, right?
The human race. That's who.
You think so?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I've said before, I think the problem is Harper sees himself as the CEO of Canada, and if it's information he doesn't like, bury it.
Or burn it.
Or burn it, as the case may be.
Isn't that scientific policy? If it's information about science we don't like, don't say it. Keeping it under wraps.
Yeah, pretty much.
It wasn't that the whole point of muzzling the scientists?
I think so. Mm-hmm. Wait a minute. Didn't we agree not to use that much sarcasm?
Oh, yeah, right. That's one of the things we're not supposed to do is use sarcasm. Because it does not come across.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to
distinguish between an idiot who's sincere
and sarcasm.
An intelligent person being sarcastic.
What we almost need is a little editing, bing, sarcasm engaged.
Well, we can just use that.
Yeah, I could probably do that. That's something that's actually not that tough to do.
Yeah, bing, sarcasm engaged. Then have your little speech.
Yeah, the whole article, I tried to fact check it, but it sounded like, it seemed like the site that I got it from, this Tylee.com.
Tylee or something.
Yeah. Was quoting an actual person who had done some of the landfill work or had thrown out some of the documents. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's hard to go past that, right? And the fact that it doesn't surprise me, I don't know, maybe that should raise a red flag for my fact-checking skills, but it didn't surprise me.
I have heard of that blog or whatever, that very independent news source.
Okay.
And I think it's a she, and I think she's pretty spot on generally.
Okay. I noticed one article about that she had about oil. Bakken oil that was super light and super gassy was catching flames easily. Mm-hmm. And they were attributing it to the fact that it was fracking that brought this oil up. And I thought that was a bit of a disconnect with because the oil itself is super light and super gassy. So that's what makes it really flammable. So I thought, well, maybe I better fact check this article because she didn't have all of her facts 100% correct on this other article.
Mm-hmm.
And but I couldn't find anything. It sounded like she talked directly to somebody who had been involved in the dismantling or whatever you call it.
The archives.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
putting them in the landfill and actually getting rid of them. So that was my experience with that. Like I tried to check it, but
I don't know.
couldn't get past
I
that
did
one
see
article.
an article about it, but I
CIBC has a video out about something very similar, it sounds like. Like
Okay.
the silence of the labs or something it's
Yeah.
called. I haven't watched it yet, but
Cute name.
yeah.
yeah.
CBC.
Well, it does bring up there is
I
always
guess
the
they'll
problem.
be getting their funding cut even more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's always the problem of what to do with all those old paper records, how much of them to keep and how much not to, and
Well,
is it relevant
right.
and is it not?
But
you would hope that you could at least glean a lot of the necessary stuff. Like it does not take, and it's not too bad to, I think, to digitize things now.
no,
Like,
I think if you
the amount
scan
of
it,
stuff
it's
that's
good.
that's digitized now is insane. That's on all over the internet.
It's easy to scan shit and put it
Yeah.
into a PDF. Like it's super easy.
Yeah, it's not like you have to rewrite them by hand.
No, that's right. So there's no reason for it not to be.
No, not really. You can have somebody go through it later and decide if it's worth scanning. Wait, after you've scanned it.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm
Well,
sure.
this
I'm
was
sure.
okay.
I'm sure. There's summer students that
Yeah, hey?
People in Ontario that are underemployed,
That's
they
why it
could be put
sounds.
to work on it.
That's why it sounds like very conspiracy theory to me.
Yeah, I just don't know.
So why would he not want any of that digitized? Well, because he's a conservative douchebag.
Yeah.
Seriously. I mean, climate science isn't important to conservative douchebags.
No, that's...
It seems very conspiracy theory to me. I hate
Yeah,
to
and
say
I don't like buying into conspiracy theories, but
it. Yeah.
I will say the jury's out on that one.
Mm-hmm.
So
Agreed.
I'm not sure. I haven't spent enough time to
No.
look into it.
I'm not a big fan of Harper, so it
Well,
wouldn't
that's why-
surprise me if he just didn't want it digitized because he's a climate science denier.
Yeah.
And an oil
He's in the back
shill.
pocket of oil too. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
big oil. So.
Yep. And is no friend of the farmers, by the way.
Yeah,
Put in plug for the
Despite what
farmers.
he's managed to convince many of them.
Mm.
Like that's funny thing to me, is that so many farmers think that he is pro-West, but he's really just pro-oil.
and oil is anti-climate science.
Yeah.
So it all lines up to me. I mean, I'll leave it up to the
Yeah,
you know.
the fact checkers.
Yeah.
see, I don't know.
Not
See, I'm
going to
kind of
proclaim
weird
it
is that
is.
I'm not really anti-oil, but I'm not against like climate change. I think it's obviously here.
For sure. We're going to burn the oil.
Yeah.
That's right.
We're going to. So
It is going to come out of the ground. It's just a matter of whether you can be prepared when you run out of it or when it becomes exorbitantly expensive to get the last little bit out.
Or even when climate change actually starts to affect the climate so that we have to
it's
work
already
to
started.
survive. Like it's...
Wow.
But as we burn it, I think the real issue is trying to extract the carbon from the flue gas, or trying to extract and possibly store the carbon.
Yeah.
That's the difficult part.
You make the plants do it for you.
Well, that's the other half of it, is trying to restore the carbon oxygen cycle, right? So, because that's destroyed. We're not extracting the carbon from the atmosphere anywhere close to enough as we're pumping it into the atmosphere. That's the problem.
Yeah.
We really need two fronts to that war. Start restoring the cycle and fucking pump less carbon into the atmosphere. That's supposed to happen fairly quickly,
Right.
from what I've been reading. So over the course of a decade, maybe two at most, we'll start to see very, very profound effects. And it's a little too late now. Unless we do something drastic, we'll be seeing those effects.
That one guy who he was a science teacher or whatever, did his whiteboard thing, said, well, you might as well do something because it works out better regardless.
His argument was it's better to do something than not.
Yes.
Sort of like Pascal's wager, but for climate change.
But for climate change.
That's what Pascal's wager was.
That's one thing I've never understood with the argument is other than they claim economic. I've never understood the argument of denying climate change. I mean, I can't see how pumping tons of carbon into the atmosphere is a good thing. I know the argument is, if we go do all this and we're going to ruin the economy. And I'm like,
but what if we make a better world for no reason?
Yeah.
What if you plant trees and nobody, and then it's a waste of a tree? Well, what's a waste of a tree?
Yeah.
What if you have carbon offsets by planting a bunch of forests somewhere? That would be a terrible thing. That's terrible.
I mean, I am by no stretch of the imagination a tree hugging hippie, but I've never understood that argument of, we can't do anything about it because it's going to, I don't see the benefit
just
of
denying that it's happening.
Yeah.
God would never let this planet go to waste.
Well, and that's part of the climate change denying, because they think that the climate is controlled by God. So therefore, anybody suggesting that humans can change the climate is heresy.
The rapture's coming soon right?
Exactly.
Right?
It's just going to bring on the rapture sooner if we mess up the planet.
Yeah. That's it in a nutshell as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
The people who deny climate change are the people who are fundamentalist crazy.
Generally.
Generally. Yes.
Generally.
There's, exceptions, but that's the core group. Is people that don't give a damn what happens to the earth because it's coming to an end with, right away.
Michelle Bachmann actually said that. Right?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. So there's a religious connection to climate change, which is bizarre. There it is. So we've connected the dots again.
We have fixed everything.
We need algae lamps in the place of actual
That was a really good
lights.
article. That was really neat.
That's what we need.
Need what kind of lamps?
Algae lamps.
What are those?
These big lamps that they emit light. Probably not as much as a street lamp, but everything would have a nice
phosphorescent algae.
It would have a nice eerie green glow, which would be kind of neat. It would be great for the zombie apocalypse. But these algae lamps absorb 100 times as much carbon as a tree.
Oh, okay.
So if we could replace every street lamp in every city with algae lamps instead, we would save on the actual electricity. They'd still require maintenance. So not that street lamps don't already.
No, yeah.
But we would save the energy, and instead of having a footprint, it would be a negative footprint, right?
Yeah.
That's the sort of thing we need to stave off human destruction, in a sense. What was that one guy thinking of pumping sulfur dioxide, was it, into the atmosphere?
Sulfuric acid.
Sulfuric acid,
Yeah.
You know how much of that is in the atmosphere of Venus? You know what Venus's climate is like?
Not habitable.
Really bad.
Not habitable.
I'm pretty sure it's...
I think it averages something like, I don't really remember, but I think it's something like 400 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah,
or
it's
something.
and the atmospheric pressure is like outrageous.
Well, but it's not as though you'd be able to affect that. I did see the.
No, you wouldn't be able to actually.
I did see the
stop
article that was talking about that, and it said, compared to the amounts that is already in the atmosphere, it's kind of a drop in the bucket. Yeah. But he was not suggesting that this is a good way to deal with it. It's sort of
it's temporary.
Plan D.
Yeah. It's temporary sort of delay tactic.
Yeah.
Until we can come up with an actual solution.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not really good in the long run, though.
That's how the Matrix got started. We torched the sky.
Yeah, that's right. We can't actually live on this planet normally anymore. So.
Well, let's hope. Let's hope we can.
Let's hope we can.
There are people out there who have children.
Yeah, some of us.
Yep.
Maybe it'll be a massive volcano, and that will cover everything with ash for a few years.
Yellowstone.
Which will
slow things down.
Reduce the global temperature somewhat. Probably cause a lot of crop failure.
Cause a lot of other issues, but...
Yeah. Cause a whole lot of problems. Apparently there's an enormous volcano under Antarctica, which if it went off, would cause a whole lot of problems with melting ice.
I could see that.
It's hard to say what all of that would cause.
Shenanigans. Not good ones.
Yeah, not the good stuff.
Of the bad kind.
Probably ruin my TV watch, and that would definitely script satellite.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So now that we're all depressed,
Yeah.
Cornerstone, this might be new to some of you. Scripture says that even our righteous deeds are as filthy rags to God. So even the good things that you do, even things like feeding the hungry and clothing the poor and taking in widows and orphans, as nice as those things are, if not done from the place of obedience to and a relationship with God, are completely worthless and disgusting to God. If you're not daily walking in a place of relationship to God, then the news that we have to bring you is that you're on your way to hell right now.
ChristCore. I know the guy didn't come on tonight.
Have nothing to say. Haven't watched it.
Really?
Was going to watch it if he was going to come on.
Never did.
Never did. Started watching it and I was like, oh, I can't watch this.
It's difficult to get through. Some of the religious context.
See, the problem is I watched it and I had no problem watching it, and all I could think of is I have seen this before.
Oh, was that right?
Because it's about appropriation of. It was done. It's called Striper in the early 80s.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Because Striper, when they started, they were rock musicians. They liked Van Halen. They liked the pageantry, everything about Van Halen, but they didn't like the message. So they started writing Christian-based heavy metal. And they would do the full-on light show and the spandex and throw Bibles out into their audience.
Right.
It's about appropriation of...
Something popular, eh?
Well, the appropriation of that culture and then redirecting it towards, say Christians. So it's like, well, yes, we listen to hardcore and heavy metal, but this is okay because it's Christian. It's got a positive message. This is fine. It's the same thing. There's entire subgenres where it's like you said, there's Striper from the 80s, like there was Striper, Patra.
I've heard Christian thrasher music.
Yeah, there's that.
Live. That was weird.
There's what they call white metal out there. Like Norwegian black metal style stuff, but it's with a Christian slant.
For real?
Yeah. Like, I mean, it's
Norwegian white metal.
Yeah. I don't know if it's Norwegian, but they call it white metal because it's
Right.
in the same style. They just reappropriate it.
That's brutal.
Well,
That's so brutal.
BRUUT. But to
on
me,
this note, I loved live.
and that's the thing is like live. I don't know. There's that weird thing of, even though we're all sitting here arguing atheism, it's like, can you be spiritual without being religious? And is there a distinction? And that's kind of a goofy idea. Like live was very.
You're gonna hate this topic.
But that's just it. Live was very spiritual, but they weren't overtly Christian.
They were anti-Christian sometimes.
Yeah.
They have a few songs that are rather critical of Christianity. So
It really depends on what somebody means by spiritual, because it's such a loose word.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's really hard to nail down what it even means. I know lots of people who say they're spiritual, but to actually get them to say, well, that means that I believe in this.
I mean, that might be it, is that it means you believe in a higher...
I think the word they use is something.
Yeah, higher something, a higher being, a higher plane, whatever.
That they believe that something is making their life have more meaning than what would appear on the surface. I think they want their life to have more meaning than some larger meaning.
the distinction I want to make is that religion is about belief and spirituality is about what you feel. So you can be spiritual, you can feel that there's something greater without believing that there is. Does that make sense?
Kind of.
I mean, you can't tell a person what they should feel.
No, that's right.
You can say, well, what you feel shouldn't entail that you believe in things, and that's fine.
Yes.
But to me, that's the difference between spirituality and religion. The difference between feeling and belief.
I like that. Yeah, I don't mind that.
Because it's not like you go around evangelizing based on your feelings, right?
No, only your beliefs.
You know, I might have a little hunch or a feeling of something, but, you know, I realize that that's, you know, not worth a whole lot as far as trying to convince other people of it.
Well, when you say that spirituality means something that you feel, that still leaves lots of room for you to say, like, that's amazing, that's incredible, or like you look up at the stars and you go, there is something greater. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't say it has to be Christian. No. You know, it doesn't say it has to be...
And to me, that seems to be the essence of spirituality, is that they don't really know.
Right.
You know, spirituality seems to be a lack of faith relative to religion. As far as I can tell, when people talk about their own spirituality, when they talk about being spiritual but not religious, that's what they mean.
Okay.
And
as far as I can tell.
That might work with context. Yeah, with live and stuff like that. Whereas with this ChristCore, they were preaching.
They're overtly Christian.
Yes. Yeah, they were the faith healing. That was awesome.
I'm here and I'm using the word of God, the promise that Jesus has made to me that all sin, all sickness, all disease, all authority is his. And we lay our hands on people and we utilize the promises and the word of God and we speak out the truth of what he's shown us. And we grab a hold of those promises and we say, you be healed in Jesus' name. And we see it happen.
Oh, that was insane. I can't, I had to actually pause it, go away, and come back later because the faith healing is so full of shit. Like, they're actually, like, even they actually got even a non-believing person to kind of accept that something might have occurred when they prayed for his wrist to be healed.
Yeah, I mean, it goes into a different realm, weird realm.
Nothing happened. I guarantee it.
But even he himself, he admitted that he opened his mind to the idea that it might work, and even that idea, because there's a concept out there called voodoo death. Okay. If you believe it, it could happen. You know, and like I know your scientific minds are instantly going, no fucking way, but.
Sounds like the placebo effect to me.
But that's basically what it is.
That's right.
You know, like, and that's just it. Is he admitted in that is like he tried not to say, oh, this is going to be a crock of shit, and he tried to open his mind to it, and he felt warm, but the next morning his wrist was sore.
Right? Yeah, that's
but
right.
But at the time he felt better.
Felt better for about 5 minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
Eh?
And so, like, I mean, that's just it. It's like I said, I watch that and just go, I've seen all this before. And like,
I actually felt bad for the poor girl who couldn't see very well or whatever, had vision problems, and then she was baptized and for a moment believed that her vision had improved. It hadn't. It clearly hadn't through any means. And if she went to a doctor days later, I guarantee her vision would be the same. But at the moment that she was baptized, she felt better. And I felt bad for her because of this delusion. It's just, I don't know how to express how this feel like this way that they're almost preying on this poor girl.
The thing is watching it, I don't think it was as like it sounds. I don't think they're not that cynical about it. But yeah,
one guy really seemed. He seemed like Ray Comfort to me. Like he was really disingenuous. Which
guy was that?
He had the black kind of stubbly beard.
The lead singer of one of the bands.
Yes. Yeah. And he was so disingenuous.
He was kind of smarmy. Yeah.
He was a friggin' con artist, is what he was.
He was all about setting up his church.
That's right. Yeah. He was a friggin' con artist, and I couldn't believe that. Like I just.
I think Ray Comfort actually believes his bullshit.
I don't think he does.
I think he does. I think he's just that stupid.
Really?
Yeah.
Who's Ray Comfort?
Law.
The Banana Man.
Yeah, the Banana Man.
Oh,
yeah.
that guy. Okay.
See,
everybody understands.
That's all you got to say.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah, the Kirk Cameron banana guy.
Yes,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, no, like, I mean, that's
And
just
I
it. Is I
just-
watched that documentary and just went, I've seen this before.
See, the heavyset guy who was leading the other band, like, he seemed genuine, right? Like, I really thought, okay, well, this guy's he believes in something that I don't believe in, but he's really genuine. He's a good human
is.
person,
And, you know,
he
you
really
can tell,
cares.
You could tell he was upset about not being around his kid or whatever.
That's
else.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a human being. The other dude really seemed like a con artist. Like,
Now the question is it about the difference of how long has he been doing it? Because the other guy, his band had been around for long,
True.
and they were headlining it. And
that's
you know,
true. But there's been documented cases of religious leaders who then come back as atheists and say, "I was conning y'all the whole time."
There was read an article where they found letters from Mother Teresa where she was questioning.
I dislike Mother Teresa.
Is it because she reveled in other people's misery?
Only slightly.
Actually, according to these letters, that was what was making her question her faith. Was here she is around at just the absolute bottom of the barrel, you know, and you know she's preaching about God, and it's like there's no God here,
though,
you know. But
she took the money from rich people and she hung out with rich people.
Yeah.
And she didn't do a goddamn thing to help those suffering her little camps.
yeah, I to be honest with you, I'd have to read more about it. I don't really know anything.
Christopher Hitchens did a hell of a good documentary on her, and she just comes across as like a really vindictive person who thinks that suffering brings you closer to God. And
So they don't do
blew
anything
me
to
away.
relieve suffering. They just make sure that you're preached at during your suffering.
But
Yeah.
I mean that's
Part of God's plan.
that's right.
that. Well, Buddhists kind of believe the same thing.
Yes, they kind of do, yeah.
Yeah.
Existence is suffering.
The attitudes towards suffering are rather fatalistic and not very interventionary, maybe. Is an interventionary a word? I don't know.
It
That
is
might
now.
be a word. It is now. It
It's
works.
not a word now.
You just
Yeah.
coined a phrase.
Interventionist?
But
No, I don't know.
I don't know. The thing is, like, to bring it back, that ChristCore is like, yeah, I thought it was an interesting documentary.
It was really well done, and
It was well done. I've just seen it before. Like,
Right.
It's about appropriation of, you know, the kids are into it. So, 40 or 50 years ago, rock and roll is the devil.
Right.
Devil's music. But the kids kind of like it. And it brings them into the church. So guess what? As long as,
yeah, that's right. As long as it's got the right message, hey.
yeah.
Making it sound like Hitler Youth.
Eh.
It sorta looked like that.
But I mean, because like they've done it like there's Christian white metal, the whole Petra and Holy Soldier. They use Christian hair metal kind of thing. I think there's Christian rap groups out there.
Oh yeah, there is for sure.
DC Talk and stuff like that.
There's
like,
lots. And actually, I was a little mad because I caught a few really good Christian rap groups, and they were really good until you listen to what they were saying.
But then again, it's also, mind you, they're part of the problem is that it gets bandied abroad as almost an insult. Like, oh, they're a Christian band. Well, what do you get that from? Like, I mean, are they overtly Christian, or is it just kind of implied?
right.
Or are they marketed through a Christian label?
That's just
And there are
it.
entire labels that are marketed that way, and it's a pretty easy way for a mediocre musician to go from completely unsuccessful to making quite a bit of money. Just jump to a Christian label.
The joke on South Park, they go to a myrrh album, they sell out a myrrh instead of platinum.
Yeah. But that's just it. It's all about appropriation of the symbology of it, and marketed.
Mm-hmm.
This is okay because it's Christian.
Yeah. I don't know. It's so frustrating to me that something that I actually really enjoy, and now because it's infiltrated actual mainstream hardcore, like or even just straight metal. Like you look at Destroy the Runner or Devil Wears Prada, they're incredibly Christian bands that are actually really talented that I can't support because they send out this message of you're going to burn in hell if you don't believe in God. And
I don't know. I can still listen to Striper and I'm still entertained by it. And I just go.
I can't support it. I
Yeah, but
cannot.
you're a cheese ball, man.
Oh,
I've known you for a
am.
long time.
Oh, man. Crank out some To Hell with the Devil. It's awesome.
To hell with the devil. Eh? Yeah. It's quite the. Oh yeah.
One of their bigger albums. But the thing is, I can listen to it and just go, whatever. It is. It's like just over the top and just kind of cheesy and, you know.
Well, but you listen to even like Iron Maiden has some supernatural connotations to it, right?
Whatever.
You mean like Number of the Beast?
And I can totally accept that. I don't even think twice about it.
Yeah.
But then if somebody like is overtly religious and trying to convert me, then I get really insulted. And I get really mad that it's just.
But it could also be a slight your own bias too.
Well, it's definitely my own bias.
You know, like, I mean,
it's definitely my own bias, but it's still, I don't know.
because sometimes you can listen to music, you can like the music and just go, whatever, the message is bullshit. But
Yeah. I try to focus on music that I kind of agree with, except for Eminem. I don't agree with anything he says.
I don't know. I used to listen to Manowar, so whatever. I just Ride the Dragon.
But that's
Bridge of Death was all Hail Satan.
But that's obviously fictional, right? They don't believe in
Satan is obviously fictional to me.
But they don't believe in that either, right?
I'm fucked if I know.
I don't think so.
and in the end, does it really matter or not?
No, it doesn't.
I mean, that's just it. It's just like, I'm a big Megadeth fan. Dave Mustaine, I swear that is the only man on the face of the planet that needs heroin to be normal. Because he's cut the junk out and he's gone batshit.
Yeah, that's right.
But I mean, in the end, his last couple albums, the music has been mediocre, and I judge it on that. But up to this point,
It was still pretty good.
it's still pretty good, even though like
Even United Abominations was pretty good, even though it had a pretty overt message.
yeah, but it was still but that's just it. Can you separate the difference between the artist and the message?
I used to be able to. I really did. And I can't anymore. Like Hatebreed is one of my favorite bands. And they have a song called Divinity of Purpose. And just even the hint of religiosity, and I just go, I can't listen to this song anymore. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know. Am I a bigot now? Like, have I turned that way?
I think it gets, for people who are apostates, it gets so that you've almost got like an allergic reaction to, the trappings of religion and all of that, because it's just, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but I understand as an apostate myself.
Right.
Well, I'm an anti-theist, and I still love live. And I probably always will.
And that's just it. Their last couple albums were kind of
their very first album I absolutely love, but that's also their most religious album. So
Yeah, I think so, eh?
yeah, it is.
But oddly enough, I don't mind that album. I don't know.
I think there's a difference.
This is clearly a case of my emotions picking and choosing.
Yeah, you're being pretty selective. Yeah, but that's just it. Is can you separate, or can sometimes as long as it has a good beat and you can dance to it,
I think it's like I said, I could listen to Manowar, Ride the Dragon, and stuff, and you're like, obviously the whole Christian Satan thing is mythology as well.
True.
So I don't draw the line. I can listen to mythology in music, and I'm okay with that.
Maybe some of it is the idea that the person singing it believes it or doesn't.
I don't care.
I mean, I don't know either way necessarily, but I think that Manowar doesn't believe in dragons.
Probably not. I don't know if they believe in, Satan and stuff so much, though.
So then it comes down to the evangelical intent.
But I mean, but then again, if we're going to go into that realm, I'm going to mention the, almost blasphemous, Slayer. Tom Araya is a devout Catholic.
Yes, he is. Yeah,
Very devout Catholic.
he wasn't always.
Not always, but he has in the last few years. And yet even him, like if you watch Metal Headbanger's Journey, he's like, it's like God doesn't hate us all, but it's a great title, and that's just it.
Right,
And even
he separated it, eh?
And even he says you can say these things because it's an art. You don't have to believe it yourself,
Man, there's a lot of anti-theist Slayer.
because Kerry King is very.
That's an interesting dynamic, eh?
Yeah. Because I think Kerry King is very, like, you believe in God, you're a chump. And then you have Tom Araya, but, he has
Right.
no problem singing the lyrics, but yet Heinemann wrote a lot of their music, so.
That's
like,
interesting.
And that's what I'm meaning is like, there they are as a band writing this stuff. Yeah, you have Tom Araya, devout Catholic, God hates us all, But can you separate the person's belief from the music they're making?
If he was in Westboro Baptist Church, it would all be perfectly consistent.
Yeah, that's
He would
right.
believe the message he's singing.
This is true.
Yeah,
That's
right.
yeah. God does hate us all, but
Just saying.
Yeah, this is true. This is very true. Although I don't think he'd be allowed to be a member of Satan or Slayer if he was able to be part of the Westboro Church.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
not.
one or the other, right? They wouldn't let him in the Westboro Baptist, or they wouldn't let him in Slayer.
Yeah, but that's just it. It's like music is a marketed art, and that's just it. Is sometimes
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Anyway, I mean, I did watch the entire documentary twice to make sure I had gotten everything.
But even at the
Some of
beginning of it, Justin Ludwig is like, "Wow, hardcore is atheist and da 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 da," and it's like, well,
But then at the end, he kind of
backed off,
right?
But that's just it. Is his view of it,
Yeah.
It's just like everyone has different ideas of what certain musical genres are, or what a subculture of different music is. Like, like you talk to one person, what is punk music? Well, it's this, and yet if you look and read into it, and you look at the interviews, a lot of the punk musicians, it was basically they wanted the rock star lifestyle at a cheap price, because they were, like you look at Sex Pistols, they were started off and they were put together by Malcolm McLaren. Like they wanted to do as much drugs as humanly possible. They wanted the rock star lifestyle. They just couldn't play their instruments very well.
Right.
Then on the other end is like Bad Religion.
Yeah,
Who's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
he's a
Well educated.
very well educated, very smart. Musically, I find them a little boring because after a while they kind of always sound the same. But
Sort of, yeah.
I still enjoy every single song, though.
I really love Bad Religion.
Yeah.
But that's just it. It's just like I like Godsmack and Disturbed, but yet I see the criticism that after a while they all sound the same.
I like Godsmack and Disturbed too.
But you see where the point is.
Yeah.
But that's just it. It's the same thing. It's when you're looking at any music or any genre, it's marketed on the different levels, on a bunch of different levels. And, with the whole Christian hardcore thing, it's marketed to that. They want to bring them into the church.
It's like almost any form of capitalism. Look, there's a gap.
Yeah.
We can supply a demand that has yet to be supplied.
They even
Let's do that.
They even brought that up on the documentary where they were talking about they were at some Christian rock festival and all the hardcore bands are on the second and third stages, where the main stages are almost empty. All the kids are at the second and third stages, because that's where the hardcore bands are.
Yeah. I actually liked that part of it. That was probably the first part where I thought that particular guy sounded sincere. All right. Well, we'll call her a night.
Cool.
Right. Thanks, guys, for coming out tonight.
You're welcome.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun.
Okay, that's all for this time around. Sorry again for the delay, and thanks for listening. To keep up with what's happening with the show, make sure to follow us on Twitter at BrainstormPod. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/brainstormpodcast. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, or Spreaker. That's hard to say. Give us a rating and write a review. All relevantly, links can be found in the show notes on our WordPress page, brainstormpodcastblog.wordpress.com. Thanks again for listening. See you next time.
We've solved the problem while you were gone.
Thanks for carrying on and fixing everything.
You can listen to it later on. And
I
find
have
out.
to, yeah.
Or edit it out as the case may be.
Yeah.
Whatever. How many hours have we gotten so far anyways?
We're at 220.
Oh.
See, that's well enough.
Well, I told
I
Dave.
don't listen to podcasts, so I don't know how you could have hours worth of material and think that's kosher.
Oh, you just split it up into two.
Well, that's just it. Yeah.
suppose.
I
You
told
should
Dave
do
to
that.
stop us at 3 hours if we don't stop before that.
Oh goodness, I think I'll be stopping before that.
Pass me
anyway.
the Coke there.
Getting tired.
Go.
Are you kidding me?
It's pretty much gone. That's what
Oh,
happens
you get my
when you
own
drink. Well, it's your laptop.
That's my laptop and shit.
Because I'm a mom.
Do we have a disaster in there?
Disaster,
I was-
not quite.
I
but
was resisting the urge to tell you to not put your cup there because I'm a mom.
Okay, what's that?
It was very difficult for me. And because I have an
Weren't we making
Alienware.
jokes about this last time?
yeah, we were.
What? Making jokes about what?
Well, Corey being a disaster unto himself.
Oh, is that right?
His own worst enemy.